Good morning, everyone. My name is Mark Peralivas, and that rhymes with For All of Us, and I'm the People's Party candidate for the Guelph riding for the October 21st federal election. I hope you vote for me. I've got some updates for you, and I'm going to show you with data that a carbon tax doesn't reduce emissions. It doesn't reduce emissions. It doesn't work, and I'll get there. But first, I just want to show you and give you a quick update. Last night, I was at the Guelph Chamber debate, and it was wonderful. Thank you to Shakiba for a wonderful job moderating. Thank you to the other candidates. We were all very respectful. It was an excellent exchange of ideas. It didn't even really get tense. So, I thought that was interesting. I think the only time I found it tense was at my close. And, well, personal responsibility is a thing, and it's a core tenet of the People's Party of Canada. So I stand by what I said. The federal government's job is not to make sure you're successful. A federal government's job is to make sure that the table is set and the opportunities are plentiful so that when you choose to engage with them, you can be successful. But success is your choice, not the federal government's choice. So that is what I was trying to say, and I hope that came across. Here is the National Inventory Report 1990 to 2016. And this is the greenhouse gas sources and sinks in Canada. And I'm just going to jump to the part that I'm interested in here. And this is greenhouse gas emissions by province. Okay. And this is by meter squared. I believe it's tonnage, but it doesn't really matter. It's the measurements that are agreed upon by this Government of Canada report. Okay. So here is Ontario. And in 1990, the emissions were 179.2 tons. In 2005, they were 204.7 tons. In 2011, 172.5 tons. 2012, 169. 2013, 168. 2014, 165. 2015, 162. 2016, 160. A reduction of 22% over that period of time, up from a high of 204,000. Here's BC. In 1990, it was 51.1 tons, or the metric tonnage that we're talking about, right? In 2005, it was 63.3. In 2011, it was 59.3. In 2012, it was 60.3. 2013, 60.9. 2014, 60.4. 2015, 59.4. 2016, 60.1. A reduction overall over the time period of 5.1%. So one of these is taxed, a very expensive carbon tax that drives prices of gasoline up to $170 or $1.70 a liter this past summer and higher, I believe. I saw 170. I think it was in the 180s. I'm not sure though. And Ontario, untaxed, reducing at a higher rate, 22% over the same period, probably because of the removal of our coal plants in 2000, around 2005-06. But all of that is done without taxation. We have had a steady reduction in CO2 in Ontario without taxes. And now we're having political parties say that this is the vehicle by which they're going to reduce CO2 emissions, but it doesn't do that. We can see that clearly because BC followed basically the same pattern that Ontario followed, except that it didn't reduce CO2 output emissions by the same amount. So taxed versus untaxed, untaxed wins in this head-to-head comparison. And you can compare any province because the trend is basically the same. In Nova Scotia, they reduced by 33% over this period, right? And there are other provinces that reduced by less, but still more than BC, and one province that increased, Newfoundland, or two provinces, Northwest Territories. But that's likely more due to population. However, fundamentally, the core point of this video is that the carbon tax, which is instituted and expensive in BC, didn't reduce emissions any more than an untaxed Ontario or an untaxed PEI or an untaxed Nova Scotia or an untaxed New Brunswick or an untaxed Quebec, right? So I believe that illustrates my point, but the news doesn't talk about this. Here's the Globe and Mail, and it says BC's emissions rising, figures show, as activists point finger at the LNG. Maybe true. British Columbia's carbon footprint has been growing almost every year since 2010, according to the latest provincial government data. And environmentalists say that reaching the 2030 reduction target is becoming impossible, while new liquefied natural gas developments threaten any progress. Figures from the report show that provincial emissions grew from 61.3 million tons to 62.3 million tons from 2015 to 2016. That wasn't reflected on this graph. Right? We have the 2015 and 2016 numbers, which are different than what are being quoted in the Globe. I wonder what their sources are. I don't know. Emissions have also been trending upward since 2010, excluding a small decrease in 2014. That bears out. That's what we saw in 2014. There's a small decrease from 2013, right? 60.9, 60.4. Regardless, don't mean to take up your time. Back to the article. I scroll down. A revised carbon reduction plan, Clean BC, was made by the NDP government in 2018 after it said the previous Liberal government failed to do enough to meet the 2020 target of cutting emissions by 33% of 2007 levels by 2020. The latest figures show that BC has reduced its carbon footprint by only 2.2% since 2007. The new plan aims to reduce emissions by 40% of 2007 levels by 2030, the equivalent of reducing emissions to 38 million tons. Okay, so 38 million tons. That's less than the 1990s by quite a lot, right? I mean, it's incredible. Where's BC? 38 million tons. In 1990, it was 51.1 million tons. Is that even a realistic target considering the track record for carbon taxes over the last decade? Really? Do you think so? Because I believe I've illustrated pretty clearly that taxes or no taxes, the carbon output of the CO2 emissions remain the same. So until I see some evidence that a carbon tax actually reduces emissions, I would rather not pay this expensive tax, which increases costs on businesses, which increases costs on the poorest Canadians, which increases costs on everyone, on everywhere, on everything. Really? Is this something that we want to pay in Canada? It doesn't make sense to me. And the data backs me up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to vote. My name is Mark Peralivas. That rhymes with For All of Us, and I'm the Guelph candidate for the October 21st federal election. Get out on October 21st or this weekend. Advanced polls are open 9:30 a.m. on Friday to 9:30 p.m. on Friday. Yesterday I said Saturday. They're not open 24 hours or 48 hours or whatever. 9:30 to 9:30 Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Wild, right? Happy Thanksgiving. Get out and vote. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.